Everyone. Welcome to the Paterson Historic Preservation Commission virtual special meeting of March 9th, 2026. I'm Chair Joyce Corbo, and I'm pleased to call this meeting to order. The time is now 6:28 p.m. I'd like to make a special note at this time. In the absence of our Secretary, Vanessa Ramirez, our Executive Director, John Franco Archimedes, will be also taking on the role of secretary for this evening. So thank you, Director Archimedes, for handling dual roles tonight. Would you now please read the notice of compliance?
Yes, thank you. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Publics Meeting Act have been satisfied. Notice of this special virtual meeting was properly given and published in the North Jersey Record and Herald News on March 4th, 2026, and filed with the clerk of the city of Paterson on February 27th, 2026, and posted in the Paterson City Hall immediately thereafter.
Thank you. May I now have a roll call, please?
Commissioners, roll call. Commissioner Garcia-Leon.
Present.
Commissioner Filippelli.
Present.
Commissioner Moses. Remember to go off mute.
Sorry. Present.
Commissioner Redmond.
Present.
Commissioner Simpson. Absent. Commissioner Tate.
Present.
Commissioner Walter.
Present.
Vice Chair Ahmed. Absent. Chair Corbo.
Present. Thank you.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. So for the record, it should be noted that in the absence of Vice Chair Mohammed Ahmed and Commissioner Kenneth Simpson, votes will be recorded by our alternates, Maribel Garcia-Leon and Frank Filippelli. So let's proceed now with item 3 on the agenda, the approval of minutes. Minutes for November 17th, 2025, December 15th, 2025, and January 5th, 2025 have all been distributed to the commissioners. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of November 17th, 2025?
So made.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Tate, second by Commissioner Garcia-Leon.
That was Redmond.
I'm sorry.
Redmond.
I'm sorry.
I think Rich. I think I had it first.
Roll call, please.
Roll call, commissioners. Commissioner Garcia-Leon. Remember the mute. Commissioner Garcia-Leon.
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson, absent. Commissioner Tate. Commissioner
Yes.
Tate.
Yes.
Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
Vice Chair Ahmed, absent. Chair Corbo.
Yes.
Commissioner Moses.
Yes.
Commissioner Filippelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the December 15th, 2025 minutes, please?
I lost Joyce there. I don't know what she said.
Motion for December
I'm
15th.
sorry. Motion for December 15th, 2025.
Okay, I'll make the motion again if nobody else does.
Moved by Commissioner Walter, second.
Tate.
Tate.
Second.
Second by Tate.
Second by Commissioner Tate. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Garcia-Leon. Commissioner Redmond.
Abstain. Gianfranco.
Yes. Go ahead, Maribel. Commissioner Garcia Leon, what's your vote? Commissioner Tate,
Yes.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Chair Corbo,
Yes.
Commissioner Moses,
Yes.
Commissioner Filippelli,
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia Leon. Sorry, did we lose you? Commissioner? Sorry, we're not hearing you. You're still on mute, Commissioner.
What about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good now.
Oh, okay. This is the one for December 15th, am I correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I've been trying to say that I need on page 4 and under all business, the
Yes.
roll call to be corrected because it says that I was absent, but I was present. All the others says present except for that one.
Okay, I'm making note of that.
Okay.
It's on page
4.
page 4.
Yes.
Okay, page
Under
4
all
roll
business.
call.
Yes.
Correct. To note that you were present. Okay. Okay, with that correction, do I have your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Yeah. Can I have a motion to approve the January 5th, 2026 minutes, please?
Now,
Can
this
someone-
was a special meeting, commissioners. Not all of you were present. So just recall if you were present. This was the special meeting where we heard the application for City Hall Plaza for the art installation.
I make a motion.
Moved by Commissioner Garcia Leon. Seconded.
I can't hear you, Joyce.
Do I have a second?
Is there a
Nobody else
second?
will do it, I'll do it.
Rich Walters, second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Garcia Leon,
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond,
Abstain.
Commissioner Tate,
Abstain.
Commissioner Walter,
Yes.
Chair Corbo,
Yes.
Commissioner Moses,
Yes.
Commissioner Filippelli.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're going to move to item 6 on the agenda, old business and correspondence. Is everyone hearing me?
Yes.
Off and on.
Yes.
I'm trying. 241, 243 Durham Avenue, block 8511, lot 06. This is located in the East Side Park Historic District. This is a design review application for a new driveway installation where there is not one presently. This application was postponed from the December 15th, 2025, so that and it will be presented by the owner. But first, executive meeting.
Okay. Madam Chair, we're losing you. You're like in and out. Okay. But I did hear you say you wanted to hear the report. Is that
The
correct?
staff report, yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. We'll get started. Thank you. Be happy to provide the report. Commissioners, this application was first presented at the December 15th, 2025 meeting. And some of you were not present, but those of you who were present provided input and feedback and felt that there was a need for additional information to be provided by the applicant and asked the applicant to return with the additional information so that it could be considered. It was scheduled for the January 26th regular meeting, and that meeting was canceled due to the first of two snowstorms that we had. So since the snowstorm and the city of Paterson closed on the 26th of January, the meeting was canceled. The agenda and the item was then moved to the next regular meeting of February 23rd. And it was like a repeat performance. The snow came down on Sunday and the city was closed, I believe, for 2 days this time, Monday and Tuesday. And as the city is closed, so the meeting is forfeit as well. So for both months, the applicant has been waiting to make this presentation tonight. And I was able to work with the applicant prior to the first scheduled meeting to improve the application and provide the information that the commissioners were looking for. So with that said, I'm going to ask to go off this screen, and I'll share with you some photos and maps and the layout, and showing you the location and layout of the application to get the application started. So I'm going to go off share and then reshare. Okay, I have a document on screen. Can everyone see it?
I can.
Thank you, Rich. All right, I'd like to start with showing the location of this property on Durham Avenue between Park Avenue and Broadway. So I'm showing right now the tax map for the city of Paterson. As you can see at the bottom of this page, I'll kind of enlarge it a bit. The location is noted here on the map. It's lot 1 of block 8511. The extent of Durham Avenue is here on this side. And on the next page, I'll show you the rest of the block to show you where the intersection of Durham's begins and intersection of the corner of Durham and Park. So that's on screen now. So going back to the first screen, you see our subject property is pretty much across from the intersection of 14th Avenue and Durham Avenue. Now, I'll tell you more about the building itself when we look at the photos, but I'd like to move on to show you some historic context for this location. So now we're looking at a Sanborn fire insurance map from 1915. And it's depicting the same area that we just looked at, with Park Avenue here to the left where my cursor is. And you see the subject property indicated with the red arrow pretty much across from 14th Avenue. At the intersection of 14th Avenue, you'll see that these various dwellings exist up to the next corner of Durham and 15th Avenue. Moving to the next map, you'll see the rest of Durham Avenue. This is pretty much on the left side of the screen is the intersection at 14th Street, and just off to the edge of the subject property and the rest of Darren Avenue continues to intersect with Broadway, where it ends on the right side of the screen. This is again the 1915 Sanborn map. I'd like to point out that you'll see there's no development on Durham Avenue at this end. Durham Avenue actually runs north to south. This would be the north end of Durham Avenue, and there's very little development on the east side of the street. Going back up to the first 1915 map, you'll see there's more development right around the intersection on, kind of in the middle of the block, basically. I'm scrolling down to another Sanborn fire insurance map from a later period. This period would be 1932, so about 15 years after the map that I just showed you. And this is the development that has occurred in the 15 years between the last map and the right side being Broadway and the left side being 14th Avenue. You can see that there are more, that's incorrect. This is the intersection at the left side of Park Avenue and the intersection of 14th. Sorry, excuse me. This is 14th at the left side and Broadway at the right side. So this is what I had said in the first place. You can see that these paste-ins show that the large dwellings have been filling in over those 15 years. And in our next fire insurance map, it shows the other side of Durham and the subject property. So at the left is the intersection of Durham and Park Avenue. And these are the homes that we saw in the 1915 map to the to the east of the subject property. And again, this is pretty much showing the south side and the north side of Durham Avenue. Durham Avenue is just these several blocks. So I wanted to give you some context as to the development of Durham Avenue. You can see by these maps that there was intensive development on Durham Avenue in the years basically of the 1920s. So many of these buildings came into being in the 1920s. The subject building is an earlier building on Durham Avenue and was built together with the building next door to it. Now I'd like to turn to showing you some contemporary photos of Durham Avenue. In order to do this, I'm going to use a combination of Google Maps where we can actually orient on the streetscape and look at overheads so we can examine the various conditions of existing historic driveways. So just keep in mind the development of the majority of Durham Avenue goes back to about the 1920s with the subject property already pre-existing from prior to 1915. I'm going to go off screen again and then reshare on Google Maps. Okay, I'm getting a little confused with all the windows. Here we go. All right, can someone acknowledge that you can see the Google map?
I see it.
Looks good.
Okay, great. All right, so this is a Google Map overview, satellite overview with the subject property kind of noted right in the middle of the screen. You'll note that the properties back up to East Side Park, so the rear of the lots along this side of Durham, pretty much the east side of Durham, are backed up against East Side Park. And I'll go ahead and zoom in a little more here so we can see the actual configurations of the buildings. And we'll start over at the intersection of Durham and Park Avenue. Durham is definitely a premier block with respect to the development of the East Side Park Historic District, largely due to its proximity to the park. Park Avenue, of course, is another premier avenue as it also bounds the park. So Here and on Durham, please take note of the various conditions of the existing sidewalks and the driveways that you see as we kind of go through this. I want to point out the subject property. We're getting closer now, which is on the right-hand side of screen. Right at the end of 15th Avenue at the intersection of Durham, we see 243, which is our subject property, and next door, a very similar home with a garage or carriage house in the back. You can see that at 247, there's a drive that enters and goes on the south side of the property, then around to the back, and then loops around to come back out at Durham. So there's kind of a larger lot here and more space for this driveway to have been constructed, and there's a kind of a larger detached building here. The adjacent property is much narrower. There is a concrete walkway that we see here along the north side of the property, and a central entrance, sort of a raised lot with steps going up to the center entrance, which is typical of these East Side Park development during this time. And this is the area where the shadow is of where there is no driveway presently. So let's continue down to look at some other properties. This is a much more modernized looking driveway with it's actually asphalt with what looks like some edging material. And again, the center entranceway and the walkway to the center of the building. Here we have a much narrower lot. And the adjacent lot look like they might be sharing this singular driveway that looks like it's double wide. So it's possible that the lot line is sort of in the middle of this driveway. And it's paved over across both. Here we have another driveway that we'll see closer when we get down to the street view. Also looks like it's been modified in more recent times. This very large building with what looks like a pool in the back also has a narrow driveway with little space between the adjacent buildings. Now at the intersection of 14th Avenue, this is one of the entrances to East Side Park. And moving on to, these are some of the larger lots that we saw in the Sanborns that were developed later in the 1920s period. This driveway looks like it belongs to this home with the green terracotta tile. This driveway looks like it's been modified in modern times also. This driveway on this large lot also looks rather narrow and more of a historic configuration. There's two walking path entranceways going up with several steps to this main entrance, which again indicates a raised lot, which again is typical of the East Side Park developments. And here's the same condition. The driveway associated with these buildings is sort of on the right side. And again, they look about, I wouldn't say they were twice as wide, but they look just about the right size for a singular driveway. And finally, we're coming around to a long driveway that brings you back to a carriage house in the rear. Also looks like it's been paved in modern times with asphalt. And in this case, there is a strip of vegetation between the two. And now we've reached Broadway, the end of Durham. So here we have the mosque, and we're going back down, passing 13th Avenue. This is a very elaborate home that has its driveway along one side and does not have a return driveway on the other side, coming back to Durham, or a horseshoe type driveway. And again, it looks like it's a standard width.
That driveway goes out onto the side street, goes on the left side and then around to the side street.
Okay, like back here. This is a rather large lot, yes.
Across from the mosque on that street.
Yeah, right, over here. Okay. So
That's the
these are
bishop's
the
home.
properties, these are back-to-back properties on Wall, this is Wall Avenue, which is parallel to Durham. And again, we're moving down Durham to the corner of 14th Ave and coming back toward where our subject property is now. This is another condition that looks like driveways are being shared, or it looks rather like there's a detached garage here and a narrow condition with the driveway right on the property line. I believe this is a fence that's installed on the property line. The same condition applies here where my cursor is. There's a fence along the property line and the driveway is right against it. So all of the driveways that I've noted so far, some of them have these sort of like flares as they join what we call the apron or the driveway apron where it joins to the street. That's also notable on these various conditions. And here's an example of a very narrow driveway that looks to be also on the property line or very, very narrow and close to the house. I know there's a detached garage underneath this tree as well. So this is a condition that also exists just about a block away from the subject property. We're almost back to the corner of 15th Avenue, and the subject property again is this one with the indicator at 243. So with that aerial view, we'll zoom out again and take a look at some of expanded views at the street level. So we're entering Durham from Park Avenue now, heading north on Durham. And this property has a horseshoe driveway. It's a very large property, one of the largest ones on the street. And it's of concrete. It's patterned concrete like square tile. There's a carriage house in the back. This is one of our former HPC commissioners, Mike Lemmy. We all remember him. He owned and lived in this house while he was in Paterson. And here's the horseshoe driveway returning back. And now we're getting closer to the subject property, which is the one right behind the flag where my hand is. And this horseshoe driveway on 247 Durham goes in and around the back of the house. It's a concrete slab, as you can see. And here's the raised lot condition, which is, again, typical. And here is the return driveway that comes back from 247 onto Durham. So our subject property is here, and the area proposed for the new driveway would be where the bushes are. We'll get into the survey in just a moment. This tree that is shown is also gone now. It's no longer there, just to make a note of that right now. So you might recall, here's a more modern driveway that's paved in asphalt with edging material. This house is getting its roof replaced in this photo. And the condition at, it looks like it's been kind of blocked out, but this is the condition of the narrow driveway that I had pointed out on the west side of the street. We can't really see it well because it's been blocked out. But here is the condition of, the fence line and what looks like a soldier course and pavers for this driveway improvement. And again, with a fence right on the property line and the existing condition of the driveway on the property line. So we have, I believe this is an example of a shared driveway. There was one maybe right before this, actually, of the shared driveway condition. That's this one we saw on the overhead. And this one is a concrete slab driveway again. You can note the retaining walls. This is all of brick. This is of concrete block covered with stucco with saw cut cast stone copings. These are both typical conditions of historic small retaining walls when you're laying a driveway and cutting into the elevated lot. So these conditions also exist. And again, I'm supposing that the property line is somewhere in the middle of these two driveways and that they're sharing them. This is another example of a driveway that's been redone with pavers and is rather narrow. Looks just wide enough for the cars to fit in them, and most likely also on the property line. So I'll just cruise through these again. These are the larger homes that are on the east side of Durham, on the other side of 14th Avenue. This driveway goes all the way to the rear. This is the one that has the two walkway entrances that I pointed out. This is one side. This is the other, up to another set of stairs to a grand and colossal entranceway. And it looks like this driveway loops around as well, around the back of the building, and is very been paved over. I'm not sure how many years ago. It's a pretty plain modern driveway of asphalt. This driveway has also been replaced with asphalt sometime in the more recent past. So we have a variety of conditions existing on Durham Avenue. And I think this context is really important for this particular application because there are many different examples of conditions that are being proposed in this application that exist. And I am not sure that we found another property on Durham that does not have a driveway. And again, I'll kind of stop the Google view here, and I'll start talking now more about the buildings and show you some photos of the actual proposed area where the new driveway installation is proposed. So I'll stop my sharing. I'm not entirely sure what happened here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm sharing a photo. Can someone say you see the photo?
Yep, there it is. Looks good.
Okay. All right. So here's a view of the subject property. This is again, the address is 241-243 Durham Avenue, and in the Eastside Park Historic District National Register nomination form, it lists this building as being a contributing building to the district. It's a 2-story, 3-bay square plan, wood frame, prairie variant style residence with a rough coat of stucco siding. It was constructed in 1910. It's tripartite with 1/1 sash windows, flanking the front entrance with oriel windows at the second floor. An applied wood trim belt course runs the house perimeter, and the gable roof is covered in composite shingles, which is asphalt shingles. That was at the time of the survey, which goes back to 2004. This is a photo from the property record card. This is the back of the building. And this is the adjacent property, 247. 247 Durham is also listed in the nomination form for the Eastside Park Historic District, and in the inventory, it lists this building as a key contributing building. So it's been ascribed to have a higher status than the adjacent building 243. 247 is a 2-story, 3-bay rectangular plan wood frame, classical revival. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong one. This building was built circa 1910 to 1912, a 2-story, 3-bay square plan brick prairie style residential building. The features include a rectilinear patterned brickwork and coining, 1-story integrated front porch, wide overhanging eaves with rectilinear brackets, and a decorative oriel window on the north end. The fenestration consists of 1/1 sash, and the hip roof is covered in slate tiles. So the adjacent building, I'll go back to the photo of the front of the subject property. And please note the similarity in the design and architectural style of these two. Now, clearly, this one does not have its front porch. We understand that the front porch was removed sometime in the recent past, but it had a porch. And these oriel windows that are kind of over top of each other, very similar to the next door property, the same windows, the same central dormer, again, typical of a 1910s, 1920s styling, but a much more ornamental building and a masonry building here, not a stucco-coated wood frame building. The brick coining that was mentioned is notable here. The porch is massive and integrated with the home, the bay window on the side, which is and a carriage house in the rear. Got a grand monumental entrance and an elevated lot with a central hall and central stair configuration. Again, these two buildings are very similar in architectural style and were likely built at about the same time. This is a side view of 247. Again, 247 is a key contributing building, and you can note the difference in the architectural styling of the adjacent property. And here's a picture of the rear carriage house and garage. So now we have pictures of the actual area where the driveway is proposed to be installed. At the end of the photos, I'll show you a survey that you'll keep the photos in mind with respect to being able to visualize them on the survey as well. So the corner of the house is here with this existing concrete curb in white. This line of bushes is on the property. It's on the 243 property, and the patterned concrete driveway of 247 is visible right here on the left. This is a closer picture of the existing concrete curb that is on line with the corner of the front of the house. And this is looking from the front corner of the house toward Durham Avenue and pretty much down 15th Avenue. Looking back toward the main entrance of the house, the curb cut that you see is from 247. It's the adjacent property. And this like pile right here is the trunk of the remainder of the tree that we saw in the previous photos when the tree was cut down, and this is what was left. And the proposed new driveway would go right here, and these bushes would be removed as well. So this would be the area of the curb cut proposed with the new driveway. Here's the adjacent driveway at 247. The difference here is there's a patterned concrete laid here, and the other side, if you remember, was just poured slabs. It may have been replaced later on because you can see there's some scarring and breakage here. So maybe the other side needed to be replaced, but it's consistently poured concrete. Another close-up of the existing condition at 247, showing the amount of space in the where the proposed new driveway would go about here. And looking toward the, from 247 toward 243, looking basically north, this is a vegetated area, and there's this bump out that is a full 2 feet away or, toward the property line from the side of the building, as well as the chimney that you can see also here in the photo. This really diminishes the amount of space that you see represented by the green space and makes it much more narrow at this part of the property with respect to installation of a new driveway. So again, another view looking to the place where the new driveway would be. This bush line would be removed and the driveway would come somewhat to the other side of where the bushes are. There would still be some green space between the edge of the 247's existing drive and the edge of the new property line driveway that's proposed. Again, another view showing these two bump out conditions and how they minimize the space in the rear. This is showing the other side of the property line where there's a 3-foot wide walkway and the adjacent property has installed a fence, which is just on the inside of the property line. The property line in this case is just to the other side of the concrete walkway. So this property line is somewhere in the center of this vegetative strip here. Again, just another view showing the narrowness of there's not a lot of space on this side of the property. So the applicant was able to work with the contractor to put together I guess this must be an AI kind of rendering of what the proposed driveway could look like. So although the applicant is not proposing asphalt, this shows the subject property with a driveway installed that with a small retaining wall that is adjacent to and consistent with the corner of the building. And here's the curb cut and so forth. So she asked me to demonstrate this rendering accordingly. So just today, actually, markers for the new survey that the applicant was asked to provide to us was provided for this meeting. They were out there, I believe, today actually staking out the location of the markers that they're going to install along the property line, and I can demonstrate these in these next few photos. So as you can see, that we've seen this view before, but this stake represents the property line going, kind of back toward the rear of the property. And you'll see that it's just on the other side of the vegetative strip. And there is a bit of vegetation, I believe it's 2 feet from the edge of the existing driveway to the property line. And this shows the space on the other side of the property between the concrete walkway and the property line. This is a view of where the property line hits the fence at the rear of the property. And here, I think I'll try to make this a bit bigger. This is the new survey that was provided, and the location of the stakes or the monuments here in red. I just showed you photos that demonstrate some of these stakes. And I'll show you another of the actual survey that we received. And the date of this survey is January 21st. So this is a very recent survey that was taken. This was asked for by the commissioners, and you'll see that the property actually ends at the sidewalk basically. The corner marker is here. The existing concrete driveway is shown at 247 on the right. And it's showing the chimney, and it's looking for the dimensions. The dimension from the corner of the building to the edge of the property line does not look to be shown here, but it was represented at the last meeting as being 10 feet. The existing concrete curbing, and the next photo, the mock-up of the survey will probably be helpful for us to see as well. Okay, it looks like that might be the last one, but I know there was another one. Okay, let me stop sharing on this. And then I'll reshare again. Survey, market form, here we go. Okay. Ready to reshare. Okay, and this is my final figure. Do you see the survey on screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I've gone ahead and marked up the survey that we just saw with some essential information for this proposal. So we have the same survey we saw a minute ago with the dwelling marked out in pink and the existing concrete curbing that was painted white. You can see here in blue. There's one on each side of the main porch, and the proposed driveway is to go from from the street and then end at the corner of the house. So the proposal is not to continue the driveway all the way to the rear, but to leave that vegetated and to end the driveway at the equal to the corner of the house. And again, I believe this dimension is 10 feet. I don't see that it's indicated on this survey, but the last survey, it was indicated as 10 feet. And I'll go ahead and leave that on screen and follow up with some closing information. So at the last meeting, we did discuss some other technical details that are important to this application regarding the Paterson zoning ordinance and any requirements from the Division of Engineering and DPW when it comes to standards for creating new sidewalks and curb cuts and driveway aprons. I was able to call the city engineer and the engineering division to ask about the process for applicants for building new driveways in Paterson. And indeed, they do have a standard for a sidewalk and curb cut. And they provided that standard to me. It does not include nor exclude the idea of having a flared entrance, which we saw in many of the other driveways that we looked at in context. That means where the driveway meets the curb, or what we call the curb cut, where the driveway apron would be, we saw a lot of flares at either end, which makes it easier to enter your driveway when you're turning in or you're turning out of the driveway. However, you may recall there were other conditions where the driveway was straight on, as you see in this figure on screen, where there was no flare. There was a question about whether having a flare would encroach on the adjacent property line. It doesn't seem to be the case because the property line ends before the street. So the street must be in the right of way, the public right of way, and the private property actually goes from beyond the street line or the curb line, basically. Starts behind the curb line. You can see in this figure, I'll blow it up a little bit. It's showing the adjacent concrete driveway has a flare. So the condition of the new construction might interfere with that existing flare if it were to be flared. So it looks like this driveway would be a straight cut to the curb, and that would be compliant with what information I was provided by the engineering division. So there's not a requirement for this flare to exist. The driveway can just go straight onto the curb. Another question was asked with respect to if there was any setback requirement in the zoning ordinance for the driveway. Can a driveway be built right on the property line, or does it need to be like set back from the property line by 12 inches or 2 feet, 3 feet? Every municipality is somewhat different based on lot sizes and so forth. but the zoning officer has signed a zoning permit for this application, and presumably that issue was already reviewed. And I interviewed the zoning officer, who told me that there's not a requirement to have the driveway set back from the property line. And we did see various examples of that condition along Durham Avenue earlier in my presentation. Insofar as our design guidelines for the Eastside Park Historic District, there is a review requirement for landscaping and the setting. We call this the historic setting of a building. And the review tonight should be guided by the way that this driveway either inhibits, encroaches, or creates an obtuse intervention into the existing historic setting of Durham Avenue or of the building itself. There would be sort of a right and a wrong way to install a driveway in this context, which means, for example, we had another option on the December meeting to have this driveway be wider, and it came all the way to here, right at the corner of the bay window, and would go, all the way to the street. So we could say in that case, by evaluating it using context, we would say the driveway is now encroaching into the front yard and the historic landscape setting of this building from when it was first constructed. So that would be an example of how we would apply our guidelines to this. So I've taken a lot of time to show you the context for this application along Durham Avenue with respect to what exists, the various optical widths. If this in fact is 10 feet between the edge of the property line and the corner of the building, that would be an adequate distance to park a car and be able to open the door into the yard side of the driveway. We've seen along Durham Avenue that there's similar, widths of driveways, even driveways that are shared by two of adjacent properties. And some are narrower, some are more wider, but they're pretty much a variety of narrow to standard widths. Some of them that have been redone in recent years look a bit wider than what we would consider a standard width. So understand that a standard width of a car would be about 7 feet, and traditionally the space for a car to be parked in a garage, and so that it could open its doors in the garage, would be 9 to 10 feet. So you would leave, let's say, a 2-car garage would have like a 20-foot width, in other words, for 2 cars and space to open doors. So those are some of the technical considerations that I wanted to follow up with you on in terms of the homework. I did put this black line here that you see on screen to indicate that a new retaining wall would be needed, a small retaining wall would be needed to hold back on the raised lot condition, or the yard condition that we have here. And I know that the applicant is wanting to speak and say more about these materials. So I've kind of left the materiality out of my presentation to give the applicant the opportunity to make her own presentation on what she conceives to be the materiality of the proposal. Madam Chair, that concludes my report. Thanks everyone for your patience.
Thank you, Director, for that detailed report. I understand the applicant is here and would now like to make her own presentation. I believe that's Mrs. Margaret Long. So if we can get her to go on video so she can be sworn in by our legal counsel, Ben David Seligman.
Say myself. All right, Ms. Long. All right, you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yeah, but I believe you, but I can't hear you. You're still muted.
I do.
Yeah, I thought you did. That's fine. Let's go ahead. Again, this is not exactly like a court, but it's a little bit like a court.
All right. All right. Good evening. Mr. Archimedes, members of the committee, and members of the public. To give a very quick recap of the first part of my presentation last time, we found in our family that the need for a driveway had changed since we bought our home. We bought the home in 1985. At the time, there was a synagogue at the end of the street that its population was dwindling. And now the contrast is a very active mosque and their community coming, attending, and looking for parking. In addition to that, members of households have many more cars than they did back in even 1985. People have work vehicles, so that has doubled up the number of vehicles being parked on the street. We have a boarding house and also a Airbnb, so we have more people coming, staying, parking. I was aware we had 3 spots in front of our house, and for those 40 years, they were sufficient. If somehow someone else was parked there, we looked for another spot on the street. It was not a big deal. I was more aware recently. My husband was in the hospital over one weekend. It happened to be the same weekend when Ramadan was being celebrated. And when I got out of the hospital on a Sunday night, I was double parked on the street for an hour waiting for a place to park so I could go inside. As was mentioned, 243 Durham is the only house in the area on that street that does not have a driveway. We're not looking to create Lombard Street in San Francisco with a tourist attraction winding all the way down to the bottom of a giant area. We're looking to install a simple driveway that will give us a spot to pull in when things are busy. I did measure to find out the width of our space, and the widest area up from the front planter going over to the newly installed rebar in the widest spot is 10 feet. Going from the chimney / fireplace, which is back a little ways, is 9 feet to the rebar. Going all the way to the back near the first gate that you encounter going into the backyard is 8 feet 7 inches. So at its most narrow spot, it's 8 feet 7. That, of course, is assuming we're removing the holly bushes and other bushes that are in that space. We have opted, though, not to plan on doing a driveway all the way to the yard fence because of cost. And again, with the building butting out a bit, it would make it kind of weaving. Also measuring from where the fence starts, the slight lower fence that's more trim around the garden, out to where our property begins near the sidewalk is 37 feet. So if you think that, I also did some research on an average car. How wide is it? A compact is roughly 5.5 to 6 feet. A mid-size is 6 feet. I can kind of attest to that. I have a little Chevy Trailblazer, and it is exactly 6 feet wide. And a full-size car goes roughly 6 to 7 feet. This is according to Extra Space Storage. Now, that seems to be a crazy place to find out the width of a car, but I was not aware of this. You can rent a storage unit and house your car for as long as you choose to pay their bill. So, judging by that, if we're thinking that the space that we're planning to put a driveway would be 10 feet, they have a full-size car, roughly 6 to 7. Some more extraordinary cars might be wider, but then the people would be choosing not to park next to the house, but they would be parking in the open area leading from the beginning of the property up to the corner of the house. So it seems that no matter what size car you have, as long as you're not looking for a garage, we would be able to accommodate you on that driveway. And since the last meeting, I had ordered the rebars to be placed. They have put in place a wood marker complete with a nice pink ribbon, I guess for National Women's Month. And next to that is a rebar that is buried a little bit more. Also on the four corners of our property, they have placed a rebar with a pink ribbon. One of the four corners is actually over a fence that we use in our backyard on the far back part of the 247 property. One of our corner bars is placed there according to the deed of 40 years ago and the current deed. Also in the front, as you saw, it's a little bit to the side of the driveway. The bushes would be removed to do that driveway, and the spacing would be fine. I had talked to the contractors that I was asking to do the driveway back in October about the apron, and they have done, by the way, that contractor is Durante and Son. He is especially well-known in Bergen County, and he's a legend in Elmwood Park, where he resides. He's done many, many residential driveways and many commercial driveways, and he has never had a problem accommodating the apron so that two driveways can live peacefully side by side. Let me see. I am in need of spots for my family to be able to unload their family members, especially those dropping off my baby grandson, whom I watch on a regular basis. Right before right before the last blizzard, I noticed a group who were visiting 247 parked in front of our house for the time that they were visiting. No problem, because there are 3 spots. I was in one of them. They were in the second. When they finished visiting there, though, they walked across the street to another neighbor, and their car stayed in front of our house. What I found ironic there is the 2 homes where they were visiting each had one, and in one case, two driveways. We had none. All we're asking is to have a space to put a driveway so we're never locked out of having a place to pull in like everyone else. Because you all know, babies do not travel lightly these days. By the time they bring the baby and everything it needs to just be in my house for a day, they're making 2 or 3 trips in and out of the house. The storm, by the way, was also quite a challenge. I know it was a challenge for everybody. It was a challenge for me as well. I've hired a neighborhood lad to shovel me out. I have 3 sons, none of them live there anymore. So my automatic shovelers are gone. But since we're told we can't use furniture, even recliners, I'm told, to save a spot, spots are precious. And in the last storm, I actually went out to the neighbor's contractor and asked him, when he shovels, when he plows the driveway that is closest to me, please do not park it in the one little spot that we've shoveled out for drop off. So the neighbor's house had mountains of snow left from the first storm, and now the second storm was ending up in front of me. The gentleman was somewhat grudging, but he was cooperative. He moved what he had already put there, and he continued to place it in front of their house. Previously, I mentioned that I'm the only member of my family still living at Durham. Over the course of the years, we had 9 people. We had my husband, myself, our 4 children, my mother, father, and 100-year-old grandmother, who managed to hot-foot it up those stairs every night with no assistance. I'm very jealous at this day. I'm not 100 yet, and she certainly would have been able to beat me. But as I'm the only person in the home, I want to be able to offer a new family the opportunity to enjoy 40-plus years in it. With 7 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 2 half baths, it's not a home for one person. When I initially put our Durham Ave home for sale in October, I found that once people realized that there was no dedicated parking, they were not interested. Although we had parked 3 or 4 cars all the time, this was no longer the case for today's home buyer. So in that time frame, we also discovered that we had an abandoned oil tank in our right lawn. So we decided when we removed the oil tank, we'd take that time to take the house off the market and install the driveway. We started the process by getting a permit in Paterson and hiring contractors to do the job. I had already found a new place to live after this home would be sold. I was not buying, I was going to rent, and I was renting 4 minutes away from my son and his wife. They have 3 little boys under the age of 8. I get many calls to help out with them. I may as well be a little closer. So I've been slowly moving items to that apartment while still living at Durham. The problem is now I am paying for 2 homes on a retirement income. Oh, I don't think I mentioned that on one of the nights when I came home, that my husband was in the hospital. It was only 2 days later that he was discharged, and it was 4 days later that he died. So this delay of having a home ready to be sold in October, almost 3 months later, has been very much of a hardship for me. The time between meetings, at no one's fault, has been a time where I've not put my home on the market because I have to know where we stand with the driveway. Prices have softened in the real estate market. World conditions have changed with talk of tariffs and now war. The housing market is much more nervous and tentative than when I was due to sell. And I know someone mentioned last time that a driveway on my property would adversely affect their property. But anyone who knows real estate knows that that is not the case. A driveway on my property would increase the value of my home. And when my home was sold, that would increase the comp value of my neighbors' homes. Unfortunately, the reverse is also true. If my home has trouble being sold because there's not parking available for the buyers, the lower comp for my home, when it's finally sold, will permanently be recorded as its sale price and will permanently determine the comp value to be averaged of the other homes in the direct neighborhood going forward. That is a real estate fact. Again, recapping, we have decided to not extend the driveway all the way to the backyard because the area narrows too much with the chimney butting out. Secondly, the cost of concrete is more than the original cost of asphalt. It would be too expensive for me to try to go all the way back. It is sufficient to have the driveway go from the street to the corner of the house or just a few more feet, as many other driveways on the street do. Depending on the size of the buyer's vehicles, that should be able to fit 2 to 3 cars. In meeting with my contractor to prepare for this meeting, which was going to be back a few months, I learned the following prices. Belgian block, set in concrete alongside the property line where we're looking at, would be Belgian block would be an additional 1,700. And if it is, that's being used as the side reinforcement. With asphalt, the total would be 20,200. With concrete, we're up to 25,300. And with some of those beautiful pavers that I love, it would be 28,300. And that's going from the street to the corner of the house. So we have 20,200, 25,300, 28,300. And then he also gave me the quote, if we were going from the driveway all the way to the back fence, With asphalt, since it's a longer area and you would need more Belgian block, the total would be 25.3. With concrete, longer area, Belgian block, 34.2. And with pavers, longer area, Belgian block, 39.1. The zoning officer had defined that we would start at the property line. We will remove the bushes that are current there, helping to separate the properties. We'd provide a small curbing of Belgian block. Historically, these blocks are about 8 inches wide and 4 inches high, and they're installed in that area so no water goes on the neighbor's side, as is the policy everywhere. We do all the building on our side, on our property. We will also be installing a retaining wall. The footing for that is normally 8 to 12 inches deep. It can be made of traditional block, limestone, a capstone, or common stone. They're all traditionally used in these types of driveway. Cambridge pavers could even be used. The prices that I have received are higher for concrete than asphalt. However, I do concur that the concrete is a more pleasing look. I will agree that if you approve the concrete, I will use that rather than the asphalt if I install the driveway. I have likewise determined that I'll be using the dimensions reinforced by our recent survey to make the plans, and will go from the street to the corner of the house. Obviously, this permission extends to me or anybody in my family who might be handling the sale of our home. It would also extend to any future owner of 243 Durham if we have a buyer between now and when they start. We want anyone who is living at 243 Durham to be able to enjoy their new home fully. So may I recommend approving this project? This driveway is reasonable. This driveway has historic roots. This driveway would be professionally installed. Lucky for us, I'm not getting my brother-in-law or one of my sons. This driveway would be an aesthetic addition to my home. This driveway would not negatively affect any neighbor's property values. This driveway is a fair addition to 243 Durham Avenue. Thank you for your time.
Mrs. Long, we appreciate your presentation and all the research that you've done since we saw you back in December. So since you've concluded your presentation, I'm going to now ask the commissioners if they have any questions for you. Commissioners, does anyone have a question for Mrs. Long? Commissioners, I hope you can hear me. Does anyone have
Yes.
any questions?
I have a question. This is Commissioner Moses.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioner.
Hi. I love your presentation, and I was deeply moved about the history and your family being in the space, and you wanting it to preserve it for someone else in the future. I was listening to what you said about the materials, and I wanted to know what were your plans to put in between or differentiate your parking space versus the next door neighbor's parking space, being that you guys are so close?
Well, right now, there is an existing grass plot right in that space. So it's already defined. Their driveway does not go up to the end of their property. They have always had grass to the left as you approach their house. So the two will not blend together. I believe that's the same thing that they have on the other side with the other house, except in that case, the lots are bigger and there would be more space.
If I can transfer money.
Rich Walter?
Yeah, I have a question. The Belgian block is not very traditional. A concrete curb I think would be more traditional. Would that be more expensive or cheaper? Why Belgian block?
Belgian block is a very traditional driveway material. That's why the contractor named that
Okay.
for me.
But not in the east side. Maybe in general it is, but in the east side, I see most of
I
them have.
think I've seen it as I'm walking into the park. I think I've seen it as a border for some of the homes right there on Durham.
Okay, I disagree, but okay.
Any other questions from any commissioners? Again, thank you, Mrs. Long. That'll conclude your presentation. And now I understand we have another presentation from a Mrs. Barbara O'Day. So if you please, please put your camera on, Mrs. O'Day, and be sworn in by our legal counsel.
Are you there?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm trying to turn the camera on.
Take your best shot. I mean, it does help people understand what you're saying.
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't want to come on. It was on before.
Barbara, you're clicking on in the lower left-hand corner of your screen.
Yes. It says start video.
That would be good.
And they still have the red arrow.
You'd be looking at like a cartoon of video camera. You would either click on that itself or on the little upside down V next to it.
Yeah, I did, but it's not. Oh, start my video. Let's see if that works.
I'll leave it to the discretion of the board. It's useful for the witness to be seen. If it's absolutely impossible, I don't think it's a bar to testimony, but it's worth taking a shot.
I think we should proceed if she can't do the video and just use the audio.
All right. Then, Ms. O'Day, may I ask you whether you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Then let's proceed anonymously.
Yeah.
Okay, Miss O'Day, I'm here ready to put photos on screen when you tell me to. And then I can go through them in any order that you like. So just let me know.
Okay. I don't know why it's not coming up. It was coming up before.
If you try clicking on like different parts of the little picture, sometimes we don't get the arrow to be right on the right part. So try clicking around around that area.
That's what I've been doing.
Also, right-clicking on where your name is, right-clicking on your name might do something. Do you see your own name?
Yes.
Barbara. See if I can find you here, Barbara.
I don't know if anybody has any ideas why it's not doing it. It was doing it a minute ago.
Not an essential, just useful.
Well, at least you can hear me, and I did make, now it says start my video.
Let's try it.
I even fixed my hair for this.
The record will note
Okay.
your hair looks marvelous, but
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm trying.
I believe the board is more eager for you. It's good to be able to see the person, but I think that at this point the board would be more eager to, and they can speak for themselves. But I have a hunch that at this point they just want to hear you. They can speak for
Yeah, I
themselves.
do too. I was hoping to do this. I'm awfully sorry. I hope not to take as long as the first presentation. The first thing I have here, and I've written this up earlier than the meeting, so you may have to bear with me. Just a tiny bit of history, not an hour's worth. This was written up in the East Side neighborhood paper years ago. It was written from a friend of ours who went down and got all the information from downtown. The Barnes House, which is 247 Durham Avenue, was built in 1911 by Phoebe Barnes and her brother, Larry Barnes, owners of the Barnes Chemical Works, one of the largest chemical companies in the city of Paterson. Also, the house at 243 Durham Avenue that you've been talking about was built by John Laffey, who was a member of the Barnes family and president of the Barnes Chemical Works. Both houses were built at the same time on a subdivision of the property. Our house is a three-story, three-bay, rectangular plan, brick-bearing residential building, characteristic of the earliest development of the Prairie Farm. This symmetrical house features a low-pitched roof with a widely overhead hanging eaves. A square porch supports emphasis on, now I can't talk, horizontality at floor levels and a conspicuous central entrance. Our house is a textbook example of the early Prairie Farm. It is one of the architectural interests to the neighborhood and one of the most important elements of the eligible historic district, adding considerable variety and architectural interest to the neighborhood. The house was bought by Richard and Yvonne O'Day in 1937. Richard O'Day was a pioneer of the radio industry and founded WODA, the first radio station in the Paterson area. He and Arthur Bulova, owner of the Bulova Watch Company, then bought WNEW in the 1940s. He also owned WLV in the 40s and 50s and was the chairman of the board of the finance of the city of Paterson and served on the board of directors for the Morning Call and the First National Bank. After the death of Richard and Yvonne O'Day, the house was left to their son Dick, or Richard, who still resides there with his wife Barbara. That's me. We call him Dick, but or Richard. Dick O'Day's career as an outboard motor racer is legendary. He started racing outboard motors in 1948 at Greenwood Lake and was U.S. national champion 4 times. He took second place in the World 500cc Champions in Stockholm, Sweden in 1964 and was the builder of the world's fastest outboard with a record speed of 157 over the water. and that was in 1984, bringing the record back to the United States after it was held in England for 13 previous years. He was a two-time member of the Gulf Marine Hall of Fame, a four-time member of Yachting Magazine's All-American Racing Team, and in 1977 was inducted to the American Powerboat Association Honor Squadron, which is the highest award anyone can receive in the United States for powerboat racing. During his racing career, he won over 400 trophies. In 1959, he started Dick O'Day Racing, which was located on East 29th Street in Paterson. The shop built racing engines for customers worldwide, and by the time the business was sold in 1987, it was the second largest Mercury outboard high-performance dealer in the world. The house was destroyed by fire in 1991, and it was restored in every detail to the original state by Barbara and Dick O'Day. At that point, we could have walked away from this and just left it because we made enough money on the insurance to do this. But we chose to stay and restore the house to the original condition, along with many improvements. Excuse me. As you know, Richard O'Day lived at 247 Durham Avenue for about 90 years, and I for 54. Even after the major house fire in 1991, we restored the house to the point we hired a professional decorator to help with the restoration, down to the fact that we even used historical wallpapers in some of the rooms. With our effort to restore the house, we received the certificate of recommendation of our outstanding contribution to preservation and restoration from the Victorian Society in America, Northern New Jersey chapter, and the Heritage Citizenship Award from the Historic Preservation Commission, November of 1995. According to the survey from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Office of New Jersey, our house was very important to the study of the historical interest to help in making this an historical area. Oh, there's our thing. As I quote, it is a textbook example of the early prairie farm and one of the most important elements of the eligible East Side Park Historic District, adding considerable variety and architectural interest to the neighborhood. It is a 4-square design showing that there is a room with windows on one side, a door in the middle, and another room with windows on the other side. Also the same on the second floor. Just imagine what it would look like when a car or several are now blocking half the house next door, ruining the look of a home in the historical area. How could you let that happen? As historical commissioners, you are supposed to protect the historical area. As you can see on this picture, I've got, I don't know if there's a bigger, I think there is a bigger picture, but if I pull my car up into the driveway and open my door, thank you, I can barely get out of my car because of the rose bushes and all the thorns that they planted next to us on the property line. So this gives you an idea how much space there actually is, which is very little. Now, if another car is parked in their driveway that they propose, there's the thorns that we had to get out of all the time. The 2 doors open up. We couldn't get out of our car and they couldn't get out of theirs because there really it sounds on paper that there's a lot of room, but there really isn't. Cars are bigger nowadays, some of them, than they used to be. What is happening in our neighborhood is little by little, there have been changes here and there that are changing our street from a special historical street to just another street in Paterson. You must remember that you have the power to stop the bad changes in the historic area. This is special to be an historic area. There's rules and regulations. It's not like other streets in town. And another note, in an official letter to us, it does state, been in accordance with the NJSA 13:1B 15.1.131 listing of an area, site, or structure of an object in the New Jersey Register of Historic Places prevents the state, country, municipality, or any of their other agencies or instrumentalities from undertaking any project that will encroach upon, damage, or destroy a property listed without approval of the Commissioner of Department of Environmental Protection. It has come to our attention that our neighbor at 243 Durham Avenue wants to drop a new driveway right next to ours in front of their house because they feel it will help in the sale of their house. She's already rented a condo and will probably move as soon as the house sells and leave us with an ugly driveway cutting off much of their front yard where the rosebush garden was planted. It will change the balanced look of the front of the house. It will also change the way the water flows down to the street and onto our property. This driveway will make our property look awful and devalue our house. If you go to Google, when they had their house listed for sale, and look at the interior of the house, it looks like the house has not been updated in many years. All this adds to the reasons why the house is not selling at the price that she would like. About 5 other owners of this house have lived there for years without needing a driveway. They all knew when they bought the house at a much cheaper price that it did not have a driveway, and they were fine with it. We have always told them if they need to park in our driveway for a short time, it's fine. Just let us know in case we have to come in or out, which there was no reason for she to sit double parked in the street for an hour. She knew she could have pulled on our driveway. We've never been stingy with the property that. As far as the rooms to put in her driveway, there might be enough inches, but with the pictures that I have taken with my car in the driveway and the door open, comes right into the bushes that her husband planted on the property line. Why somebody would plant bushes with stickers that much really just is unbelievable. But we've dealt with it. If someone on her property tries to open the door next to ours, people could not get out of their car. That alone makes it difficult to get out of our car without being stuck with thorns. I have furnished a picture of the roses along with the thorns that they produce. We would appreciate if you do not allow the driveway to be placed next to ours, even if it is in her yard, since it will look bad from the street and change the balance of the look of the house, especially since she's moving away and will not have to live with it. If you do allow the driveway, we will be putting a new fence along our driveway to get rid of the look of her yard. And if it devalues our property, we will be looking into legal action. we would like to suggest that any money that Mrs. Long spends to put in the new driveway and retaining wall would be to put improvements into her house so she could get the amount of money she is asking. Thank you very much. I appreciate you attending this long meeting.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. O'Day. First, I want to apologize for myself if everyone is not hearing me that well because of my audio issues, but I'm trying to do what I can. But Mrs. O'Day, we at the HPC appreciate your presentation, and I know we all appreciate the history that you've given us of the house, as well as the stewardship you and your husband have provided on this lovely home all these years. So again, thank you for your presentation. Now, commissioners, does anyone have any questions for Mrs. O'Day? Anyone have any questions?
Yeah. Hello. Hi. This is
Hi.
Commissioner Moses. I have a question. So when the lady move out and she moves away and a new person comes into her space, will you also extend that hand to that new person that want to purchase this her house in terms of parking? You
If
know,
they're nice neighbors and we all get along and for a short period of time to unload groceries or take a baby inside or stuff, sure.
that sounds a little temporary to me. What happens if they have visitors and they want to stay overnight or for a week?
No, not for a week. Not even overnight. We go in and out of our driveway quite often. And by the way, Mrs. Long said that we had people parked in front of our house during the snowstorm. We had no visitors in our house, to our house during the snowstorm.
Hmm.
Does any other commissioners have any questions? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Moses.
Yeah, well, just one more. So in terms of the valuation of your house, is there any documentation that would support this theory?
Well, I wouldn't want to be parked to a house that stuck a driveway, just planted one next to mine like that. And it ruins the whole look of the house next to ours.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Redmond. I think the questioning that's going on is a little out of our preview, and I would rather just stick to what's within our preview. As far as we don't know what the property value are, and that's not part of the historical preservation's preview.
Noted. I think there's not many more questions at this point. Commissioners, any other questions?
Can you hear me?
Commissioner Tate, go ahead.
Yeah, I just piggybacking off what Commissioner Redmond said about the our purview and the guidelines. Were there any like studies of how this would impact the flow of the existing neighborhood? You know, like I understand, like, you know, the executive director did a very thorough examination of the properties from aerial view, also the street view. We heard both applicants, and you know, we heard very anecdotal stories. My question is, from a purely empirical level, is there an understanding of how this would impact the street? Because I do realize that in Paterson there are situations where the parking is becoming an issue across the board, but then there's situations where there's successful driveways. So it's really a matter of I want to say science, but you know, has there been any study or anything further to kind of justify yay or nay for this situation?
Commissioner Tate, I think this would be more suited for our discussion time. I'm going to take a guess that Mrs. O'Day does not have that information. Right now, we're only in questions. So let's proceed with any questions pertinent to the applicant or Mrs. O'Day at this time. And if not, then we should move forward.
Chairperson, may I say one thing? It's Peggy Long.
Yes, Mrs. Long.
First of all, I'd just like to note that at the time that the bushes were planted, it was because
Mrs. Long, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. The bushes and stories such as that are really not pertinent to what we have to decide at this time. I appreciate it. I appreciate the importance to both of you of being neighbors, but that's not something that we need to discuss at this time. So I'm going to assume then that we have no more questions. So thank you both for your presentations. Now, Director, do we have anybody on the line, members of the public, who would like to speak at this time?
Madam Chair, I put on screen our legal advertisement to announce to the public who's watching if there are people who would like to make comments about this application. This is the time to do so by a call-in line. You'll note that on the screen, the call-in number is, it's on screen. I'm gonna get it on screen for everyone. The call-in number is 973-321-1579. And you'll be asked to input a code, and the code is 8326, as you can see again on screen. So if anyone would like to make a comment, you can call in, push in the code, and the system will queue you up for being able to make your comments. We're asking comments to be limited to 3 minutes or less. And our IT department is going to assist us with telling us, when callers are calling in, and they'll patch them into this feed. So again, we're going to wait a few minutes for callers to call in at 973-321-1579. The input code is 8326. So IT will let us know when there's someone who wishes to speak. And I think they might be able to tell us also how many people are queued, Madam Chair. So I'll be communicating with them while this process is going on. So at this point, we'll wait for callers. We'll wait a few minutes for callers.
25 people watch this. 25 people watch this.
Mrs. O'Day, can you go on mute, please? Madam Chair, I'm noting the time. It's 8:16 p.m. We can wait another 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yes, we can wait another 2 minutes.
Okay, we have one caller.
Caller ready?
Yes, okay, so we have a caller. Put them through, please.
Good evening. Is the caller there?
Yes, I'm here.
Good evening. Would you please state your name and address so you can be sworn in by our legal?
Sure. My name is Karine Lazarus, and I reside at 230 Durham Avenue.
Thank you.
All right, it's
You're welcome.
yes, I guess it couldn't hurt to swear in. I guess it's a coin toss whether to reasonably swear people making public comment, but it doesn't take much effort to do that. So, Ms. Lazarus, to swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I sure do.
That's a good choice.
Thank you. I liked it.
Thank you. Please proceed. You have 3 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Karine Lazarus, and I live across the street diagonally from the houses we're speaking of. I was also part of the committee to make us a historic district. I lived on Durham Avenue for 20 years. There has never one time been a parking situation where anyone had to wait an hour for a parking spot. During the blizzard, there was parking up and down Durham. So that is not an issue. This came up once the house homeowner decided to sell their house and feels that the house needs a driveway to sell. It ruins the look of Durham Avenue. We do everything we can to keep the park beautiful, to keep Durham Avenue beautiful, to keep Park Avenue beautiful. Willy-nilly throwing a driveway in front of a house where there is not room for one just changes the look of the avenue. It's the premier street in Paterson. It's time to start keeping that in mind and keeping the look as it is. Once we have one driveway thrown in front of a house, you're going to see a bunch of houses do it. But they may not go for permission. They will just pop up on the weekend or overnight. So this, in my opinion, sets a very dangerous precedence. That's all.
Do we have another caller? Seeing no other callers, I guess we can move forward.
I make a motion to close public comment.
Well, we didn't open it, so
There's no need for that. We
don't need
having
to.
comments for the application on its own. So the regular public portion.
Oh, this is just this is the public comment. I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure that I'm clarified. This is the public comment dealing with this particular item. Okay, I got it. All right.
That's okay.
Thank you.
That's okay, Commissioner. Thank you. So, Director Archimedes, is there a resolution prepared for this application?
Yes, we have a resolution.
Would you
prepared.
please read the statement of purpose?
Yes, Resolution 25-16 is the conditional approval of a design review application for the property located at 243 Durham Avenue, Block 8511, Lot 6, within the Eastside Park Historic District.
Thank you. Do I have a motion on this resolution?
Remember, you're on mute, commissioners.
Commissioner,
I'm sorry, Judy. I can barely hear you. Can you repeat the last thing you said, Madam Chair?
Yes. Do I have a motion to move this resolution?
I make a motion to move the resolution with discussion.
Moved by Commissioner.
Second by Commissioner Tate.
Second by Commissioner Tate. Thank you. Commissioners, we're now in discussion. Who would like to make the first comment?
Well, usually it's me, so I'm going to start. That's okay.
Commissioner Walter.
I was under the impression that this was going to be a driveway going from the street back to the far back corner of the house. I think if we're going to have a driveway, it should look like a driveway. And that would make it look like a driveway. So I'm very upset that they're only going to the front corner of the house and not the back corner of the house.
Okay, does anyone want to weigh in on that, commissioners?
This is Commissioner Redmond. I definitely agree with Commissioner Walter. It sets a precedence of what we're seeing now, and it doesn't look the aesthetics that we're looking for. If we were deciding to do this, I think this is not a great look for this particular property.
Yeah, I'll jump in there too real quick. I have to agree with the other two commissioners here. From what I've seen so far from the East Side neighborhood, it seems as though not only the driveways go to the back of the house, but they always seem to go to a location where the car is put away, some form of garage, the back of the house, something to hide the car. And that seems to be the prevailing aesthetic of the neighborhood, especially for that time period.
Thank you, Commissioner Filippelli. Anyone else? We have to consider a lot of things here, one of which was the length of the driveway. But in the reports that we've seen and when we have asked in the past for this applicant to give us information, it seems like she has complied with what we've asked for back in December. And having a driveway in this area does not change the scape of what we've seen throughout the other parts of the district. We saw that in the reports that our director has given us, that most of the homes here do have driveways. It's my thought that this is really not taking away from the streetscape all that much. Although I do agree that the length of the driveway could be an issue, that most of the driveways are longer. But that's my thoughts on it.
It's Rich again. I just wonder, are we proposing to approve a driveway or a parking space in the front of the house, front lawn of the house? I thought they were proposing a driveway.
Okay, this is the director. I think that there's, if the board wants to discuss the various parts of the application insofar as materiality, for example, the concrete versus asphalt, the Belgian block on the property line versus a cast concrete curb, those aspects, it would be a good start toward a modified resolution, meaning if the applicant is proposing to go to the corner of the house, I think you can ultimately, if you all wish to approve the driveway to the rear fence, provide that option. Well, not an option, but make that a mandate, basically. So it would be like saying you could vote on the application as it is to the corner of the house and not vote to approve it. And then move another motion to approve, conditionally approve the driveway idea that would go to the rear fence. So then there would be, the opportunity for the applicant to build a full-size driveway or nothing. So that would be one way of handling it. Your comments. So if the applicant chooses not to fund a full-length driveway to the back of the going to the back corner of the house, then it's a no-go. Then the conditions that you put onto the resolution can't be supported, and she wouldn't be able to build it. So it has to comply. Whatever she builds has to comply with your conditions, as is usual. So if you discuss the materiality of the application and see if you do have a consensus that this is the right direction to go. That would be one way of arriving at that alternate. sounds like Ben David wants to say something.
Here, John Franco, may I mention, I guess, something that in theory could be a legal issue, though I'm hoping you'll be able to tell me why it wouldn't be. I do know that all through the city, there are various limits on how much impervious surface you can have. Do you have any idea whether building a longer driveway would drive it over the impervious surface maximum?
That's a good question. And the way that works is the zoning officer would be in charge of reevaluating the zoning permit that was issued to see if the amount of increased impervious surface would then foreclose on, on the issuance of the zoning permit. So what that means in simpler terms is if the zoning officer has provided a permit for the shorter version already, I think we can fairly assume he's made that calculation because that's part of his due diligence. If we provide a conditional resolution to build a longer driveway, the zoning officer would need to reevaluate and see if it still would meet the zoning code to do so, because we can't answer that tonight.
And I
So
just
it would be conditioned upon the zoning officer's reassessment, I believe.
And John Franco, you'd probably also, just based on experience, this is more a practical thing. Is there such a thing as a driveway with that's mainly paved but has this is a double negative, non-impervious portions, meaning small portions of grass going across at certain points just to try to reduce the total impervious area? I don't know whether that exists or not.
I mean, historically, there were driveways that were two tracks, meaning like literally a poured concrete where the tires of a car would go. That's very inappropriate for this street because it's just not even a condition that exists on this street.
All right.
But we've seen that in other districts, but not in this district. In any case, there is a material that, for example, an asphalt material that would let some water go through to reduce the impervious capacity or percentage of that total surface. But I don't think that the zoning officer is looking into that kind of material, or would it really apply here based on the materiality that we're headed for. So that's thoughtful. However, for different reasons, it wouldn't probably meet the preservation guidelines. And the way he does his calculation, I'm assuming wouldn't take that into account, a different kind of material.
Understood.
So, commissioners, I guess I need everyone to weigh in on, first of all, their thoughts on whether a driveway, let's not talk about the length now, whether a driveway is appropriate or not. And what—
Madam Chair, Madam Chair, we barely can hear
Can't
you.
hear
So
you.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Is this better?
Yes.
Much better, please. Can you repeat what you said?
Yes. What I was attempting to say and hoping you could hear is that I think we need to weigh in on whether we at first feel a driveway would even be appropriate, regardless of the length. And if so, let's talk about the material. At the December meeting, I know we requested more information about the material, and concrete was one of the things that we said if we were going to approve a driveway at all, it would most likely have to be concrete. So I need to hear everyone's opinion. I already understand that 3 commissioners have weighed in that they don't like the shortness of the driveway being proposed. So can we start the discussion from there?
Okay, Joyce, can I elaborate on what my opinion is? My opinion is that it has to go to the back corner of the house. It's got to be concrete. It's got to have some kind of curbing on the right side. I don't care if it's Belgian block or if it's a concrete curb, but I would prefer a concrete curb, but either one is fine. We got to discuss more about the wall on the left-hand side, what that material is going to be.
Thank you, Commissioner Walter. Can somebody else please weigh in on what Commissioner Walter has said?
I agree with Commissioner Walter. We have to extend the driveway if we're really going to consider approving this. And in the material, I believe that the appropriate material should be the concrete. And I would like to see what the other material will be for the wall.
Thank you, Commissioner Redmond.
And actually, to piggyback off the other commissioners there, I would also just kind of throw out there that I agree with everything they've said so far, but personally, I'm not even convinced that the driveway makes any sense at all. So I'll just kind of throw that out there. I'm just not personally convinced from the photos that I've seen and from the testimonies from the people in the neighborhood that this driveway would not be impeding on the neighbor's property. And that it could even fit. So I'm not convinced of that, but if we were to move forward, I think it needs to at least line up with what Walter and Redmond just said.
Thank you, Commissioner. Someone else weigh in, please? Commissioner Tate?
I think everyone covered the spectrum of my perspective on this, so I'm gonna pass.
Commissioner Moses?
The driveway going to the back makes sense, but I'm not sure of the look on how it's going to end up, because there's a bunch of points where the driveway is narrow, and that I guess it was 8 feet. I'm not sure the dimension. I don't know how that's going to look. But I agree with the necessity for the driveway, because the neighborhood is growing, everything is growing, and parking is becoming an essential space for the neighborhood. So if we're going to do parking, if we're going to provide this driveway, we should at least, like I would agree with the other commissioners, make it a long driveway, put the parking in the back behind the building. But all of this is contingent on the zoning and, the, you know, building surfaces. So I guess we would have to figure that portion out. Once we find out that information from zoning, then we could proceed from there.
Thank you, Commissioner Moses. I think there may be a small portion that has to be checked out, but I think based on Director Archimedes' report, that the long driveway would still be okay and would be within zoning and would already be approved. Commissioner Garcia Leon, what are your thoughts?
Well, just like Commissioner Richard and Kima, I do agree that it should go all the way to the back, because making it short, it will look just like a piece of like concrete just thrown there. I also agree that the area does need a driveway, because I had driven by, especially on a Friday, and then people even go inside the park to park. So there's no space there. So I think it's needed, but I do agree to make it all the way to the back, a long driveway, and to be used and also concrete.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia Leon. So I've already stated that I believe that there is a need for this driveway. I don't think it deters from the streetscape of the area. I was initially inclined to allow the shortened version of the driveway, but I can see I'm alone in that thought. So I think
Your voice is disappearing again.
I said, I
Right.
think I'm alone in that thought. So I agree with everyone else about the material needing to be concrete. But I do think a driveway is necessary, and I don't think it would deter from the streetscape or the value of the homes in the East Side Park District. So I think if we approve this, we need to have certain conditions that have to be met once we do this. Concrete would have to be one of the conditions. And we talked about the standards of the Department of the Public Works, that all has to apply. The driveway need to be designed, pitched, and constructed so that there's no stormwater running off into the adjacent property and nothing is being encroached on the adjacent property. So can we agree on those conditions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I've been taking notes on the conditions. I can read them off again.
Thank you. Please do.
Okay, so based on the discussion, it sounds like many of the commissioners are willing to agree with the applicant's proposal to install a new driveway where there isn't one previously. It would be in the space along the property line and between the south side of the house, and it would go from the curb cut and driveway apron. The standards of the city of Paterson would need to be followed for the new sidewalk replacement, and then going from the property to the rear corner of the house would be a concrete driveway. And the proposal as it is would be rejected for the driveway to stop at the front corner of the house. Instead, it would need to go to the rear fence or the rear corner of the house in the way that I just described. The edge of the driveway along the property line with the adjacent owner of 247 would need to be defined by either a Belgian block or concrete curb in order to manage water from moving over to the adjacent property, which is again not only traditional, but I believe part of the zoning officer's review. Then there is the matter of the small retaining wall on the inside of the driveway toward the yard, and the materiality of that could be either left up to me to help the applicant decide by looking at samples, or you can decide specifically what you would like. The proposal was for a traditional concrete, either a traditional concrete block with a parge coating and cast stone or limestone coping on top of it. That's one option. Another option would be to use a specific brand, kind of a high quality brand of low retaining walls and landscaping that are used today. That's made by Cambridge Pavers. There's a variety of colors that could be chosen, gray or browns or reds, for example. So those are the choices that I might recommend that you consider for this approval. Finally, the other condition would be that the zoning officer would need to reaffirm the review of the impervious surface or total lot coverage with respect to having a longer driveway. We have to check in with the zoning officer to make sure that it's still compliant with their requirements, and also for runoff and so forth. We know we have engineering specifications for the street side and the sidewalk, and those would be the conditions that would go along with this conditional approval.
So then the only thing that would be in question with all those conditions would be the materiality of the retaining wall. Can we agree to leave it up to the executive director to choose that as one of our conditions? Commissioners?
This is Rich. I think the retaining wall itself could be either one of those, but I do like the idea of the cap being the limestone cap that was proposed on the block wall, but even if they use the other material for the wall, I like the idea of the limestone cap.
Okay, thank you.
Understood.
So then we can make that one of the conditions if no one else has any thoughts. Fine. So then can we have a roll call on the approval with these conditions of this resolution?
Yes, Madam Chair, ready for roll call, commissioners. With the conditions as stated?
With the conditions, yes, Director.
stated,
that you
okay.
Just stated, yes. And
Okay.
with the one condition that Commissioner Walter just added.
Okay, understood. So the additional condition would be to use limestone coping over whatever the block for the retaining wall is on the inside. Understood. And as far as Belgian block or concrete, it would be up to the applicant?
It would be up to you if you work with the applicant.
Okay, understood. So the retaining wall on the inside of the driveway on the property side would be either a standard concrete block with parging or a Cambridge paver type product. But either one would be capped with a limestone coping. And on the property side, on the property line side, it would be either Belgian block set in concrete bed or a standard concrete curb. And the materiality of the driveway, of course, is poured concrete. Okay, commissioners, roll call. Commissioner Garcia-Leon,
Yes.
Commissioner Redmond,
Yes.
Commissioner Tate,
Abstain.
Commissioner Walter.
Although, as a resident, I would be against this. As a commissioner, I see no reason not to vote yes on this.
Chair Corbo,
Yes.
Commissioner Moses,
Yes.
Commissioner Filippelli.
I'm probably gonna have to say no.
Okay, the vote is 5 in favor, 1 against, 1 abstention, and 2 absent. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, members of the public. Thank you for the 2 presentations. Mrs. O'Day, Mrs. Long, we appreciate you being here. Let's move on. We have new business. There's a presentation, I understand.
Night.
I'm sorry, can you hear me? There's a presentation, new business, number 7, the Levine Reservoir Water Containment Project, Block 4802, Lot 27. This is in the Great Falls Historic District. There's a presentation of a project design with details and historic preservation aspects. It's going to be presented by Passaic Valley Water Commission and consultants, but we will be taking no formal action at this time. It is just a presentation. Director, I believe there is more than one person that's going to make the presentation. Am I correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Do they want to please put their video on and then be sworn in by our legal counsel, Ben David Seligman?
Yeah, hi. Good evening, everybody. This is Eddie Gajek from Mott McDonald. I work at Mott McDonald and working on behalf of PVWC.
Eddie, if your video is not broken, try putting it on.
Let me ask you this. Since this is a informational type presentation with no business in front of this body, is it necessary to be sworn in?
Yeah, not absolutely necessary, but we usefully see the video.
Sure. And that's all I was going to ask.
Yeah.
The video of sharing my screen or?
You.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on 1 second. Hey, everybody. I have multiple screens open, so I'm sorry I'm looking all over the place. All right, can you everybody hear me and see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right. So again, my name is Eddie Gajek. I work at Mott McDonald. We're one of the design engineers working on behalf of Passaic Valley Water Commission. And what we'll do here with this presentation, just give a broad overview of the project, the little bit of the history of it, and construction as well. All right, so again, some background information, the site location, and the big things, the necessity of the project and project elements.
Excuse me, Eddie.
Yes.
I can only see you. I can't see the presentation.
Okay, let me try this again. Sorry about that. Okay, how's that?
Now you're good. Thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so just to continue, the site itself is at 135-153 Grand Street in Paterson. It is within the Great Falls National Historic District, and it was constructed in 1885 for drinking water supply originally to the city of Paterson. Right now, it accepts water from PVWC's Little Falls Water Treatment Plant. And essentially what that does is it stores the water and then distributes it before the, before it hits the distribution system. All right, just again, just kind of like a high level view where it is. This is the reservoir right over here. Grand Street is on the south side of it. This is Reservoir Avenue. And if you're familiar with the area, I'm sure you all are, this is the city of Paterson's pool on the east side of the project as well. And, this is just some pictures, some overview of what the reservoir currently looks like. We do have some historic aspects of the project itself. The obelisk fence posts are considered historic and they will be maintained when the project's completed. In the front, you have the what we call the Grand Street retaining wall, and this will also be maintained as well. And we'll talk more about this later. And pictures on the left is what the reservoir did look like, and over here, just some visuals as far as why this project is needed. So the main thing and the bottom line is it's water quality, it's safety for the public, and making sure that they get safe drinking water. And big picture, the US EPA does require that stored treated water, finished water that's in uncovered open water reservoirs, which is the Levine Reservoir that was finished water and that covered. It needs to be treated or covered in some respect to address pathogens before it hits the distribution system. And then also there's certain, within the area of their PVWC's water distribution system, there are certain areas of the distribution system that are at higher risk of elevated lead levels, specifically Paterson and Prospect Park. And so as many on this call are aware, this project does have a rather long history, going back around at least 20 years or so. So again, broad overview, in April of 2009, the US EPA enacted regulations that required all open water, finished water reservoirs to either be replaced or covered or received additional treatment. In 2009, PVWC received their ACO, their administrative consent order, that basically required that the Levine Reservoir, have improvements to be done. And, what that was, PVWC submitted a feasibility study basically recommending replacement of the Stanley and Levine Reservoir. And then in 2010, November 2010, the New Jersey Historic Preservation Office requested a resolution of adverse effects, and we'll get more to that later. And then in 2020, in July, the approval of the mitigation measures were ultimately approved. And it's important to note too that this project itself wasn't done in a vacuum. There were multiple stakeholders involved over the multi-year period, including the US EPA, National Park Service, the DEP, SHPO department. Multiple agencies had input with various items on this project. All right, so as far as a summary of the HPO mitigation measures, PVWC did agree to provide a $2 million mitigation fund for capital improvement projects, basically upon receipt of all project permits. The Levine Reservoir was also recorded in the Historic American Engineering Record, which basically documents the record and the history of the Levine Reservoir. Other things that PVWC is doing to minimize visual impacts is to site the tanks on the north side of the property, further away from Grand Street. There's going to be some landscaping to help block the tanks. And then ultimately the decision was that the tanks would be colored gray to kind of try to blend into the area. Like I mentioned before, the concrete obelisk fence posts are considered historic, and they will be on site after the project is done as well. And if there are fence posts that are in need of rehabilitation, they will be rehabilitated as well. The retaining wall, again, we'll talk about this a little bit more later. The retaining wall will stay in place and will be rehabilitated as well. Part of the mitigation measures also was performing a feasibility study to determine if water can be shared with the upper raceway. The study that PVWC did do determined that at this time it was not feasible. And again, with this type of project, it's very visual. It's very open to the public. A lot of people drive by, walk by, and PVWC wants to make sure that the public is being updated on the project and throughout the project as well. So what they've done is they've created a website basically that help inform the public where the project stands, how to get more information. If you have complaints or questions, PVWC did create their own website to help get the word out and also help people if there's questions throughout construction. So communication is very important on this project. Another item that PVWC is doing is putting interpretive signage within the project area. Basically discussing the history of the water supply in the area, pumping stations, reservoirs, things like that. Because given the location within the National Historic District, it's important to add these signs, and it's something that PVWC will be doing. All right, so additional measures. There was historic rehabilitation of PVWC buildings that were completed in the Mary Ellen Kramer Park. Basically what that was done was there were 2 PVWC facilities that were restored. The pump house, which is approximately 1895, and their gatehouse, built in approximately 1906, they were in need of repair, and that was recently completed. And again, PVWC did do this work in coordination with the DEP Historic Preservation Office to maintain the historical integrity of these buildings. All right, so again, storage project elements with the project itself, and I'll show some pictures as well. Ultimately, the Levine Reservoir will be removed and replaced with two 2.5 million gallon storage tanks, again, on the north side of the property. There will be a small chemical feed building to basically hit the water with chlorine before it goes into the distribution system, and that will be on the northwest side of the property. Some additional improvements will include grading and a new access road that's basically going to be a gate on the northwest side of the property. And in addition to the two tanks, there will be two detention basins, one on the south side of the property and one on the north side of the property. The detention basin on the south side of the property will be a little bit bigger than the one on the north side. And that's basically going to help address runoff within the property and things like that. We've talked about rehabilitating the fence posts and the retaining wall. And in addition, some landscaping that will help hide the tanks from Grand Street and homeowners as well. So this was a rendering that Mott McDonald and PVWC recently completed. And again, this is on the north side of the property, and you can see the two storage tanks. This is the chemical feed building that's proposed. And between the two storage tanks, there's an access driveway. And again, on the front side, you have a detention basin with some landscaping, as well as the north side as well. And the landscaping was approved by, again, several stakeholders, including the DEP. So this is another rendering. This is actually, if you're standing on the south side of the property, on the Grand Street side, looking north, this would be the access driveway that will be installed. And you could see, again, the chemical feed building with two storage tanks. And what this rendering is, again, if you were standing on the north side looking south, and as we know, this area is relatively rocky, so there'll still be some rock outcroppings and all that within the property as well. And you could see with the gray tanks. All right, so again, the improvements, restoring the obelisk fence posts. There will be a fence there, so that will also be maintained as well, the mesh fence. The retaining wall in front, what that's going to be done is the weep poles are going to be cleaned, and the mortar joints that are within the wall, those will be repointed and cleaned up as well. And again, the site landscaping will be installed as well. Again, just some pictures of the landscaping, some of the trees and bushes that are proposed on the project. And, you know, again, PVWC, they have their dedicated websites. They could always be contacted via telephone, via their websites. Again, it's a very visual project, and, you know, communication is always open to residents, schools, things like that. So that's basically the project in very high level. Again, it's currently in construction right now. PVWC did award the project to a contractor, and things are, you know, still in the early phases, but things are moving along. So that's kind of where we are right now. I don't know if anybody has any questions or you know, has anything to say, but.
Thank you, Mr. Gajek.
Yeah, no problem.
So are you Mr. Gajek, is this conclude the presentation, or is there any other speakers on this?
No, that is it. That is it. And I know Julie, and I don't know if Jim is on the phone, but I know Julie from PVWC is on the call. But as far as the presentation, it would be just me.
Thank you so much. Commissioners, does anyone have any questions regarding this project or directed to Mr. Gajek? Please ask now.
Okay, not a question, just a statement. I've been on this commission for 25 years. I remember when this first was proposed. what this project seems to have turned into is a lot different than what it was first proposed. First proposal, they were not going to destroy the reservoir. They were going to just place tanks in the reservoir to separate the water from the Levine Reservoir's water and the portable water that's going to go out. This thing has changed tremendously. I know we have no say in it. I'm disappointed.
Do you want me to clarify the separation, or? Because I could clarify that if you want.
I personally don't need a clarification. I know we have no input in this, and whatever we input is not going to help at this point. Your plans are made.
Okay.
Right.
Thank
This
you.
is Commissioner Tate. I've been on the commission for over a decade, and I kind of second what Commissioner Walter just said. You know, we obviously have no say in this thing. It's massive. It's you know, it's a buzzkill. It's a disappointment, and you know, I guess all the pretty pictures and you know, persuasion and all this stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I think it's an eyesore.
Thank you, Commissioner Tate. This is Chair Corbo. I'm going to agree with the sentiments of Commissioner Tate and Commissioner Walter. I too am very disappointed with this project, and I don't think anything more needs to be said from me. Thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, I appreciate your time, everybody.
I got a quick question. I'm just, yeah, I know it doesn't alleviate any of the clear issues that everybody's having here, but I'm just kind of curious because I'm kind of new to some of this project, and I remember hearing when it was first announced, but I don't know. I'm learning more of the details of it right now. I'm just sort of curious: is it possible to embellish the structures in any way, or like how does that work exactly? Like, could you put murals on it? Could you add things to it to?
No, what it is what it is right now. As far as additional painting and murals and things like that, not at this time. No.
Is that something that you guys would consider in the future?
I don't think so, but I could talk to PBWC.
Okay.
And the other thing too that I would note is this will be a fenced off property, and the tanks themselves will really not be seen from Grand Street either. But it's something we could talk about. Okay. And the other thing is too, this was approved again with multiple stakeholders and SHPO. So I highly doubt that they would allow murals on it.
I have a question that might clarify something, Mr. Gajek. You mentioned in your presentation that part of the existing reservoir basin would be turned into or reconformed as a detention basin, and I think the tanks are to be located farther, like in the direction that's farther away from Grant Street, and then there's that part that's closer to Grant Street. You didn't really illustrate that portion of it. Is that going to be a detention basin, and maybe you could explain what that is, or is it going to be filled in and be a flat area?
No, it will be a detention basin in the front of the property to runoff, things like that. So it will not be a flat area. No.
So will it hold water at some point?
Very little, but I don't have that exact answer. I could see how much, but it's not going to hold water. That's a retainage basin. This is detention, and then ultimately it goes away.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and if there's no other questions or comments from commissioners, I want to thank you, Mr. Gajek, for your presentation.
All right.
And have a good night.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, commissioners, it's been a long night so far, but let's move on to number 4, administrative matters. And I believe our director will update us now on what's happening with the Van Houten House.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so just to remind everyone, in early January at the council meeting, we were successful in getting a lot of support from the council members in passing a resolution to or urge the administration to continue to work with the County of Passaic toward the preservation of this important building that's in Westside Park. The building is duly considered the oldest building in Paterson. Unfortunately, it's been as Paterson property, like it's been property of the city of Paterson for hundreds of years. The lands were first purchased in about 1880s by the city. So since then, the city has been the steward of the property. And unfortunately, there was a fire that that burned part of the building. However, the building is salvageable, and it's our campaign to salvage it. The Westside Park is currently under construction and a total renovation, so that the entire park is being redone. It involves a lot of public funds, including state and some federal funding, as well as city bonded funding. Many different parties have actually applied for the funding, including nonprofit stakeholders. And, the construction project is well underway. We were able to review the second phase of the project for rehabilitation of the historic elements of Westside Park, which include the pavilion and the entrance pillars and some other aspects that we're very grateful for that will be part of the finished project. But the Van Houten House still has not been addressed. So we are now looking to meet with county commissioners with respect to looking toward their support and urging this continued relationship to be developed between the county and the city on the next steps for what hopefully will be a transfer of the property to the county, so the county can rehabilitate the building and then program the building for as a public heritage center moving forward, so that the completed Westside Park will then have a rehabilitated Van Houten House, where the important history of the park, of the city, of the African American community in particular, and the Dutch early Dutch settlers of our area can also be appreciated and on display for the county and for residents to take advantage of over the next generations. So I wanted to give that sort of summation of what our intentions are, and it's been it's been time now to move into the phase of discussion with the New Jersey Historic Trust with respect to fundraising for a grant that could possibly pay for half of the rehabilitation costs that would need to be matched by local funds. That could be county funds, it could be city funds, it could be a combination of both, and that's kind of where the discussion is going. We have a scheduled meeting coming up in the next week with the New Jersey Historic Trust, where we will start that discussion in earnest and then be able to bring the support and results of that to our elected officials for a second round of information for them. Also, Senator Nellie Poe's office has expressed a lot of interest and concern for this project, and we're also reaching out to speak with them. So the There's also an effort to create more of a public awareness of this project, especially relying on Commissioner Richard Walter's long-established and well-known Paterson history website. And I've been slow on the uptake on that, but that's something that I also like to get going as soon as possible to continue to populate that website and have it distributed so there's more public awareness about this situation.
Thank you, Director. More local things we can do here as commissioners in terms of getting the word out to the county commissioners to advocate on our behalf a little bit more, such as attending meetings at the county level?
Yes, I think that's important to do. I believe that's something we have discussed, that in the next month, meaning the month of like toward the end of this month or early April, we should look to the schedule for the county commissioners, and we should plan to urge our community members to attend and make statements about this effort, and ask them to continue to move this discussion forward, and also bring to them the idea that the funding could be supported by a grant from the New Jersey Historic Trust. So once Director Rafael and myself are going to have a joint meeting with the executive director, when we get those results, which we believe will be positive, we'll be able to write to you formally about it, and then that can be used to help stir some support for public meetings, basically. So that's our next step.
Thank you, Director. So just keep us informed on how we as a commission could maybe attend these meetings and help out where we can in getting the word out.
Okay, thank you.
So under B for administrative matters, do you have any updates on the Barber Estate in the Eastside Park Historic District with the fire that had happened?
Yes, so everyone is probably aware that there was a fire at the Barber Estate in the Eastside Park Historic District. And just in case, I don't believe that we've been able to meet since the fire. So I wanted to take a moment to inform you about the fire and what happened, after it. So there was a fire in the evening. I don't remember the date. I don't have it in front of me. But I was alerted right away while the fire was starting, and the fire department responded. This is very typical when there's a historic building that's on fire. They usually call and inform me and ask me if I'd like to participate and give input to what's happening. So the construction official for the city and, of course, the fire captain in charge of the fire were on scene, and those are the two legally responsible parties for fighting the fire, putting the fire out, and then determining the public safety aspects of the building or the property that's left. The owner of course is always called, and the owner was called, and they are requested to provide their own structural engineer to review the the damages and the results of the fire, and provide a written report to the owner and to the city about the viability of the building, whether it can stay or should be demolished or what have you. So we give the owner a chance to get his own engineer to to present that to us, and that's if the other officials I mentioned earlier agree that the building can stay standing for that to be able to happen. So that's sort of the format of how it process works when there's a fire. And in this case, the fire was put out during the same evening, and then people were able to go in and inspect the results. And the owner did retain a an engineer that company that we actually have worked with on other projects in Paterson that are familiar with historic buildings from the firm PS&S. And they gave the building a very healthy report. The fire was segregated to a very small upper floor of, let's call it a wing to the main building. So the fire did not have the opportunity to spread into the main building. The way the Barber Estate was designed is it's sort of a long rectangular building, and then a offset and like non-symmetrical square shaped wing with its own roof is sort of attached to the north side of it. And that's where the fire happened. And the fire was likely caused by people who were trying to stay warm in the upper floor of the building and probably set a fire, and it got out of hand. So the roof of that addition burned, and the tiles and stuff and timbers sort of collapsed inward. But the floor of the upper floor was not like collapsed to the floor below. So the fire was very much localized to the upper floor. Clearly, there was a lot of water that was poured onto the building to fight the fire and keep it from spreading. The fire department did a great job of fighting that fire and keeping it from going any further. So the engineer gave a very positive report. As you all know, the building is a masonry building built at the turn of the century when fireproof construction was a very important and well understood design criteria. So it was given structural soundness without the need for demolition. However, in the report and also by my advice, the area where the fire was needs to be the debris needs to be removed. The burned truss works that are still there need to be taken down and removed. And a temporary flat roofing system needs to be put over it so that water doesn't continue to infiltrate into that part of the building. So that flat roof system is a temporary roof. It's has no particular need for preservation compliance. It's there to protect the building, getting it ready for the next stage of rehabilitation. Furthermore, I was able to walk all through the main building, and I made note that up on the upper floor of the main building, there is some water infiltration that's starting to come in. It's really at its beginnings with respect to the main roof. The main roof really needs a lot of care. It needs some sort of emergency repair in order to keep that water from continuing to get in. So, as soon as this fire was happening, and in the follow-up, there was a lot of public concern sent to the mayor's office, to the director of the Department of Economic Development, and all of the executives started to convene all of us, meaning the people who are looking at permits and looking at all different parts of enforcement in land use. And I was included in all those meetings, and we started having these large group meetings to include the owner, and everyone sounded off about what needed to happen. So the owner was able to comply with a lot of the initial requirements, which included boarding up the building to keep people from getting back in as soon as the fire was over, and to remove a lot of the illegal dumping and debris that had been accumulating on the property. That was removed pretty quickly as well after the fire. And the matter of installation of a site-wide fence was discussed, and putting the flat roof on the burned addition, and also repairs to the main roof to address the water infiltration. This is stuff that was waiting now for the warm weather to arrive, which, especially as of today, which was a really warm and sunny day, it looks for the most part that we will be relieved of more snow. So the owner now will be reminded that he's expected to begin mobilizing contractors to execute this roof work, especially, and to continue to assure us that the building is constantly secure. Now, we've talked about also securing the upper floors and using a more robust system that you would actually rent this system to fill in all of the windows and doors. It's made out of like iron or metal. It's very much and you just really can't get through it. This is again, it's a system that, like a scaffolding, you actually call the company, they come and they install it, and then you actually rent it for a period of time, and then when you're done, they come and they take it off again. So we're talking to the owner about installing that kind of a system now that the weather is broken. We'll restart those conversations. Now, we also did convene other meetings about the owners and other parties' plans for the future of the building for adaptive reuse. And there were some ideas discussed. I can't get into all of them right now in great detail because they're being discussed among parties, and it wouldn't be fair to like start to say things out in public until there's more surety about where that's going. But there is a kind of a private-public relationship and component being discussed that would help to preserve the grounds as well as the building in possibly a quasi-public use, or on the other hand, a possible adaptive reuse as a commercial, like apartments, for example, like some sort of a housing reuse. So there's several ideas, and we've been in discussion with that. Again, I think that's going to accelerate now that the weather is changed and the owner can actually confidently mobilize and button up the buildings. So that's kind of a complete update because we didn't have a chance to do this since the fire.
Thank you, Director, for that. I recall the fire may have taken place it was during one of our meetings, whether it was the December 5th, 2025 meeting or the January 5th special meeting. I don't recall, but I know it was one of those meetings because you got the phone call right at the end of our meeting. I do recall that. So I thank you for the update. I'm being positive that the estate remains secured now until some sort of plan is made for its adaptive reuse or just saving in the future. So thank you again for that update. Number 5, let's move along to committee reports. I'm not sure. Are there any reports? I don't believe so. So let's move on to, again, old business and correspondence. And we should have some information from our director regarding the Great Falls National Historic Park. There's a lot of exciting news that's been happening there. I know we all know some of it, but maybe the public is not all aware. So I'm sure our director would like to talk about that.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So the first item under B1 is the Great Falls Pedestrian Footbridge. I'd like to share some photos, so I'm going to go off share with this and share my photo screen. Okay, can you all see that?
Yes.
Okay, so the city organized a ribbon cutting, an informal opening for the Great Falls Footbridge. I'm not sure how to really do this, but I'm doing my best. This is just a variety of photos from that event. It happened on February 19th, as you can see here on screen. This is me talking. This is one of the Kramer family, Kip Kramer, one of the descendants of Mary Ellen Kramer, and some of the people who spoke and made a presentation, for this very historic event. The footbridge is the 7th, I believe, 6th or 7th footbridge that has been installed over the Great Falls since the first one was installed way back in the 1830s, early 1830s. So this is actually part of a long legacy of Paterson's Great Falls history with respect to continuing to have this bridge installed for the purpose of not only crossing over, but to enjoy our wonderful resource. So the bridge, as I'm coming down to actual pictures of the bridge. Here's a good photo of the bridge. You can see it really well now. It's got the same design as the older bridge, and it's in the same location. You can see the existing concrete abutment here, and this photo is taken from the approach when you're walking toward the falls from Overlook Park. The charcoal color is taken from the last color that the adjacent historic bridge was painted, so that they would actually match and kind of blend in and disappear together into the background as you enjoy the falls from this spectacular view. So we're all familiar with this view. The deck of the bridge is new. You can see that it's different from the last footbridge in that it's concrete now, and the bridge is actually 2 feet wider, which I think will go a long way to make people feel comfortable and safe, walking both directions of this bridge. Sometimes, of course, people are, park themselves for photos and for taking selfies, and people can comfortably go around them with strollers and so forth now. And the concrete deck of the bridge will allow for the National Park Service to clean the snow off if that is necessary in the colder months. This is Senator Poe posing next to the classic view of our falls. And here's the mayor. And here's a group picture. Okay, so I'll go off screen on that. This project was completed using federal funds and county funds, and a special appropriation that was arranged by the late Congressman Pascarell's office. So this is an important bridge that we hope in the near future we'll get a congressional vote on the resolution to dedicate this bridge in the national park to our late congressman. I'll go off share here. Here we go.
Thank you, Director. I know so many people who have walked across it already multiple times. I've yet to do it, but I'm looking forward to maybe this week getting to see it. I'm so excited about it. So thank you for that. And you'll recall here from the HPC, we spend a lot of time talking about the particulars and the structure of how this should be done. So we all, I'm sure, are very thrilled to see this in completion.
So our next report is about the Paterson Vista Park construction. It's the park was ready for the public to use before the winter really hit. So that means the grasses and plantings were put in, but have not really taken shape at all. They kind of rooted, but they haven't had a chance to really sprout and grow. So now that we've just about on the edge of spring, we really look forward to this beautiful park kind of popping out of the ground, literally, in terms of the grass and the plantings that were included in the final landscape design. A couple of aspects that still are remaining that I'm working on is to have the water line to the toilet building hooked up in the street by the Passaic Valley Water Commission. We're almost there with getting our permit and our work order to do that. And the other aspect is to create several historic wayfinding, we call them wayfinding, like plaques, where it gives some information about some of the significant history of the park. So I'm working with our designer on that as well. And in the next few months, probably before the summer arrives, people will already be enjoying the park, and these items will be in place. So we're just about there. I know that we already are receiving requests for permits to use the park, and I'm also addressing how the permitting will work, because it is state land, and there's agreements and so forth that are in place. So we're getting ready to already start working on releasing the first permits and putting the protocols in place for how the public can request special use permits for the space. So the Rogers Locomotive Works Paterson Museum project update. As you know, we've been working for most of last year on a design project that will turn into a construction project that will address the immediate needs of the building for mechanical systems for heating and cooling. This is especially important as the summer months come closer, and we are meeting on this regularly in terms of providing updates to the mayor's office. He's very interested in having the museum open and comfortable for occupancy during the summer, since it has been closed at least last year and possibly the year before, or at least for part of the year. So I'm working collaboratively with our DPW department, who is doing sort of the HVAC half of the project, and I'm working on the exterior architectural rehabilitation of the aisle side roofs, the clear story window replacements, the north addition roof replacement so that new air conditioning chillers can be placed on there. So we're doing this in a cooperative way. I'm now at the point where I'm sending our plans to Historic Preservation Review. And once we get input from the National Park Service and the SHPO, you'll be seeing this application in detail at our upcoming meeting in April. So this will be coming for a design review in April to the HPC. So we're moving on to construction documents after the HPC reviews. The preservation reviews come through on from all the parties, and we're looking to have construction documents and bidding during the summer, and an award of contract at the end of summer for the architecturals. Meanwhile, they're hoping and moving along on a different track to have the first floor units installed, which is more like a replace in kind operation, so that the air conditioning will be working in time for the summer months. So that means like June, July. And I know that DPW is working hard on that aspect, which is under their control. Also, I'm pleased to tell you that we have received a $1 million grant from the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the rehabilitation of the Spruce Street facade of this building. That includes replacement of all the windows and doors on the Spruce Street facade. Further, the city is also applying for discretionary funding through Senator Poe's office for the balance of funding needed to complete the rehab of the rest of the building, meaning the main roof, the elevators, the various sides of the building, not including, of course, the facade, since we have funding for that. But that request is going up. It's due now, so it's going up the chain. And let's hope that we do get approved for that, because if we do, the whole building, the project can just move forward all at once and be completed. So there's a lot of interest, especially from the mayor's office, toward the future total rehabilitation of the Rogers Locomotive building. So I already gave an update about West Side Park improvements under item C and the Van Houten House. So I'll just rest here and thank you for hearing these reports.
Thank you, Director.
Can I
Commissioners,
make a question?
that's what I was going to ask. Does anyone have a comment or question?
John Franco, have you heard anything about the locomotive shed and how that's progressing?
Yes, I have grant funding to solicit engineering and archaeological services for the pillars, or where the support structures will be. placed. We already have we have a cost estimate for both of those, and I have funding in place to fund them. So a request for proposals needs to go out to these engineering companies to do that part. We already have the architectural drawings completed for the past several years, and this other component will be needed so it can all come together and turn into what are called construction documents. And we don't have the full funding for the construction project, but I am talking with the mayor's office about how we could seek that funding, which resources might be the best, maybe county open space funding or other avenues. But you got to remember, this is not a historic building. It's a new structure to protect the locomotives. So that makes the argument about to our preservation funding sources a little different than applying for work directly on a historic building. So it's sort of a new building that protects the facts. So we're also kind of struggling with that to see if eligibility might be an issue with respect to our where we think we could get the funding.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions for the director? All right, then, since we're virtual, I'm going to ask for a...
Oh, I'm sorry. May I interrupt, Madam Chair?
Sure.
I just remembered. We request the commissioners to discuss about the upcoming meeting, the regular meeting for March. We have a regular meeting scheduled for Monday, March 23rd, which is 2 weeks from now. And since we've had this special meeting due to our snowstorms, should we seek to cancel the meeting of the 23rd? I can report to you that I don't have pending business for the 23rd at this point. And if we were to cancel, it could be done by, of course, motion practice. It would have to be a motion, a second, a vote, and then that means our next meeting would be April 20th.
I'll make a motion
if
to
you don't
cancel.
have any, yes, if you don't have anything on the books right now, I think that we should make a motion for that. So there's a motion on the floor from Commissioner Redmond to...
Commissioner Walter seconds it.
Redmond. Oh, sorry. Just give me a moment. First by Redmond, second by Walter. Okay, I'm ready. Thank you.
Roll call.
Should I do the roll call? Roll call, please, commissioners, on the motion to cancel the public meeting scheduled for March 23rd. Commissioner Garcia-Leon. Commissioner Redmond.
Yes.
Commissioner Tate.
Yes.
Commissioner Walter.
Yes.
Chair Corbo.
Yes.
Commissioner Garcia-Leon. I'm seeing you're still on
mute.
You can hear me?
Hear you now.
Okay, yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Moses.
Yes.
Commissioner Filippelli.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, so our next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting will be April 20th. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll be home by then.
Glad to hear it, Commissioner Walter. So since this is virtual, I need a motion to open up the public portion and give a few minutes to see if there's anyone in the listening audience who may want to call in.
I make a motion to open up to public comment.
Moved by Commissioner Redmond. Do I have a second? Second for the public portion to open.
Okay, I'll do it again.
Second by Commissioner Walter. Thank you. Members,
Walter.
could you, Director, could you please read out the number again in case there is someone that may be listening in?
Yes, so can you all see my screen, by the way?
Yes.
Checking. Okay,
Yes.
checking. Okay, very good. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the public who are watching, if you'd like to make comments during this public portion, is now open. You'll have to do so by using our call-in line. The number is on the screen. It's 973-321-1579. The meeting code that you'll need to enter is 8326. So I'm leaving this on screen, so anyone who would like to make comments during this time, please call 973-321-1579. The meeting code is 8326. Our IT department will announce if we have callers ready to go. And I'll note the time now is looks like 9:43. The time is 9:45. It's been 2 minutes. Do you want to wait longer?
No, I think that's fine. Thank you. May I have a motion to close the public portion, seeing that there's no one that is calling in, and also to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Make a motion to close public portion and close the meeting.
Moved by
Second.
Kate, second by Commissioner Webb. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. I want to thank
Everyone have a
everyone for
good
listening.
night.
I want to thank everyone for listening regarding this meeting at the HPC of March 9th, 2026. The meeting is now adjourned and the time is 9:45. Good night.
Yeah, and thanks to our IT people who have supported our meeting. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Good
evening,
night,
everybody.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Night.
Night all.